The world is constantly changing. Now you can track what's likely to happen and trade on the outcome with Kalshi. From politics and economics to breaking financial news, Kalshi markets show real-time possibilities of what will unfold, and you can make money on what you think will happen. The State of the Union is Tuesday. Will new policies be announced? What will the president say? Who shows up? Trade the outcomes live on Kalshi. Available in all 50 states. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FAN to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Did you know you can save up to 70% on your favorite brands every single day? FromRebel.com sells strollers, car seats, espresso machines, skincare, cookware, everything you need for your home, your family, and your life. All for way less. Here's how it works. Every day, Rebel drops thousands of new products for up to 70% off. It's a nonstop feed of deals from brands like UPPAbaby, Nuna, Baby Bjorn, Nespresso, Breville, Wilson, Dyson, Caraway, and more. But every listing is one of a kind, so if you see something you love, you have to move fast. Why pay full price when you don't have to? From baby gear to tech to self-care staples, Rebel helps you save big on the brands you know and love. Shop now at FromRebel.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that, cools up to 8 times faster, and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus free home delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Creepy Spaghetti.
I think the name is based off creepy pasta.
I gave it a second, waiting for Roy to elaborate, but he just kept looking at me as if I was supposed to know what he meant. After seconds of dead silence, I asked him, "What the hell is creepy pasta?" Roy explains.
The term creepypasta originates from copypasta, a portmanteau of the words copy and paste.
I try not to laugh and say, "Portmanteau? You definitely just made that word up."
Sorry for being literate, Max. It's a curse to be a wordsmith. Can I show you how it works, please?
I put my hands up in surrender and slid backwards a couple inches so Roy could scoot forward and invade my desk with his knowledge on this thing called Creepy Spaghetti.
This site where most of the big horror pods get their content.
I raised my hand. Not because I had a question, but I always found it funny to interrupt Roy when he was excited to tell me something. He called to me as if he was my third-grade teacher.
Yes, Max?
So what you're telling me is that the Biggest Horror Stories podcast is just copy and pasting stories from this website? That's why they're making so much money? Roy started to open his mouth, but I just cut him off again, knowing it would frustrate him. And the name of their podcast is an admission of guilt and laziness? Roy nodded and said with a deep breath,
"Yes."
I told him to continue as I sat there, becoming genuinely annoyed at this revelation.
The reason Creepypasta can release an episode every 3 days and get millions of downloads is because they have this endless well of content. They found it first, and now everyone else is clinging for scraps.
I sat up, perturbed at the suggestion, and told him, "We write original stuff."
Correction, we wrote original stuff. We launched the podcast a year ago, and we've released only 16 episodes.
Quality over quantity, I told him, trying to present a semblance of pride or sophistication.
Dude.
I was nervous. Anytime Roy started a sentence off with dude, followed by a lengthy silence, I knew he was going to get serious, which he did.
If we have any shot of making it in this business, we have to start creating contents. Lots and lots of content. Enough to be sustainable. Otherwise, we're looking at 9 to 5s forever.
The way he said forever, it stung. It was true. I had no comeback. He was right about the 16 stories in a year. 10 of those were Roy's, 6 were mine. And if I'm being honest, they weren't even good, my stories. Roy's were decent. I could list a couple excuses, but that's all they'd be. Excuses. We were both pushing 40. This dream of ours that we would somehow infiltrate the horror industry with our originality and brilliance was dwindling by the day. I was still pissed about the lack of creativity on Creepypasta's part. Nobody cares that Creepypasta is just copy and pasting?
No, it's in their name. Plus, originality has no currency anymore. People just want content that they can share with their friends. It's like Tyler Durden says in Fight Club. Everything is just a copy of a copy of a copy. Which brings us back to Creepy Spaghetti.
The fact that Roy even wanted to have this meeting face-to-face, after we hadn't seen each other in nearly a month, made me assume he was going to break up with me. Creatively. Instead, he was smiling while opening up this website called Creepy Spaghetti.
Try it out.
I could see the prompt waiting to be filled. It's AI? Like HackGPT?
No, it's horror AI. There's no creative guardrails. Most AI has to censor itself to be available to the public. This was created by a foreign entity that hasn't been released into the public yet. There's nothing to control what it says. In other words, it has no morals.
I looked at Roy, intrigued, and asked, "How do you have access if nobody else does?"
My cousin, who worked at Google, he sent it to me because he knows I'm a big horror fan, and he thinks AI is evil. That's why he quit his job. But he wanted to help a cousin out for a minute.
Have you used this already? Roy didn't say anything. He just smiled and said,
Go on. Take your first spin.
I readied my fingers above the keyboard and spoke out loud while thinking and typing. Write a horror story about... I closed my eyes, trying desperately to think.
Jesus, Max, think of something.
Don't rush genius, I told him. Write a horror story about a young woman who takes a self-driving car, but the car takes her somewhere scary, and she gets decapitated. Within 3 seconds, it was writing my story for me, page after page after page. Impressive, I told him, but I don't see the difference between this and HackGPT. Roy pointed to the bottom of the screen and told me to read the last page, which I did. Oh my God, this is twisted. Roy scooted forward some more, emphasizing.
The difference is in the details. The incredibly specific description of the murder. That's what's going to get us downloads. Walking the listener step by step through the brutality. Make it feel real. Make them think they are there with us.
He was right. The description of this young woman being murdered was so gross, authentic. I wouldn't have been able to write this well. Roy, maybe, but me, no way. I asked him, have you had to write stories for you?
75.
75?
And that was just yesterday. It's only a matter of time until everyone has access to it.
Roy was pacing around our tiny shared office space as if he was a young Steve Jobs. All he needed was the black turtleneck. By shared office space, I mean my living room, which was currently being shared by 2 other roommates. This is why I was so desperate. A tiny shared apartment with 2 men who I'd met through Craigslist. Roy was locked in.
Once Creepypasta finds out about Creepy Spaghetti, it'll be a wrap. They'll be able to make a new horror story every day. They have resources. We have us.
Okay, I told him. What's the plan?
We got to start recording. As many as possible. Put them out there. Get ahead of the curve. Create attention. Stand on Creepypasta's corner.
I love it, I said. So, what's next?
Record and release.
It was on. Me and Roy each picked a story to record. Mine was going to be the one I thought of earlier about the self-driving car. I called it Slaymo, based off Waymo. It's possible you wouldn't get the reference if you didn't live in cities that had Waymo. But Roy told me not to overthink it and give myself an excuse to second-guess the idea. That was true. That's exactly what I was doing. Roy knew me too well. It's why he was the one I asked to help try and make my dream a reality. I sent the Slaymo story to an actress I knew who I was pretty sure would be able to send me back something quick. Her name was Nina. She said it would be an honor to get her head chopped off for me. I tried to explain, but she laughed and said she would be happy to record it. Nina's sick sense of humor came in handy. It's one of the many reasons I had a crush on her. She was married, of course, but she also happened to be a good actress. By 9 p.m. I had a recording. Me and Roy would stay up all night trying to get it ready to drop by 6 a.m. The turnaround was incredible. In one day, we had each recorded and released an original story. Prior to Creepy Spaghetti, this would have taken us weeks, and that's when we were hustling. Now we were about to put out something that was ours, completely original to us. Well, not original, but we did own it. Now we just had to wait and see if people would listen.
The world is constantly changing. Now you can track what's likely to happen and trade on the outcome with Kalshi. From politics and economics to breaking financial news, Kalshi markets show real-time possibilities of what will unfold, and you can make money on what you think will happen. The State of the Union is Tuesday. Will new policies be announced? What will the president say? Who shows up? Trade the outcomes live on Kalshi. Available in all 50 states. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FAN to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
You're a pro at running your life, at committing to your workout, at showing up every day. At Bombas, we're pros too. Pros at making socks. Our sport assortment has specialized socks for whatever sport you're committed to. Running, hiking, golf, Pilates, and so much more. Made with sweat-wicking yarns, blister-fighting details, and targeted arch support. Bombas Sport is pro-level socks from the pros of socks. For another pro, you. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code audio for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com and use code audio.
Rory was showing me the metrics. In the 12 hours since putting out our 2 stories, we had already accumulated more downloads than we had during our first 3 months combined. And it was all word of mouth. We had no social media presence. We had no presence at all. Our goal was to get into a big network. The kind of network that Creepypasta had, or Bloody Revolting, which was another mammoth horror podcast platform. Rory was ecstatic. He hadn't been ecstatic in a long time. His Steve Jobs swagger was in full effect. We had to make more. In the 12 hours that I spent napping and walking around filled with anxiety, Roy had recorded and edited 3 more stories. He was calling in favors to any actors in our lives who'd be willing to record something quickly to help us out. I don't think he had slept during the past 2 days. It was time for me to earn my keep. I had to open up Creepy Spaghetti and start cranking out more stories. Write me a story about an Italian slacker roommate who dies from a spider that crawls into his ear, gives birth inside of his chest, and then a whole colony of tarantulas burst out of his heart while he's on a date with his girlfriend at a movie theater. I actually got kind of nauseous at the visual. The inspiration was from a couple hours earlier when I had seen that my roommate, who happens to be Italian, had not cleaned any of his dishes from several days ago. We have a dishwasher. I found this infuriating and insulting. Why would you leave dirty dishes in the sink if you have a dishwasher? Well, at least he was good for something. Inspiration. I hit up Nina to see if she'd be interested in recording the story again. I was fairly confident she'd be down. The story, as written by Creepy Spaghetti, was truly horrific. Not the writing, that was spectacular, but the level of detail during the death. I couldn't even read the last page. The knowledge of human biology and what that would actually look like, smell like, taste like. Taste because when his chest burst, some of it gets into his girlfriend's mouth. Every time I think about it, I get nauseous. I actually wasn't looking forward to editing. But considering how well my first episode had been received, there's no way in hell I was going to bail. Roy was a machine. Anytime I walked by the kitchen table, he was there, editing a new episode. Every other hour I hear him declare, "Done!" He was lapping me by a mile. I really wanted Nina to record this new story, but she wasn't getting back to me. Rory was telling me to just get someone else. I could feel the minutes ticking away. He was talking about putting out a new story every day for an entire month. That's how he saw us getting a real audience.
Max, is Nina in or out? If she's out, find someone new, or record it yourself. We're on the clock.
I told him I'd check her socials. Maybe she was busy. It was worth a shot just to see before I tried opening door number 2. And then I saw it. I just left my phone out and then walked over to the other side of the room and sat against the wall. Rory came over and saw my phone sitting out. He saw the expression of shock on my face. Roy took my phone and sat down on the couch.
Nina Goodwin, 35, was killed last night.
His face turned to stone as his whole body melted into my cheap leather love seat.
Her body was found decapitated? Police have no further details at the moment.
Roy put down my phone and sat back.
Oh my God. Didn't you chop her head off?
It took a second to register what he said. I had to make sure he did, in fact, say what I thought he did. So I asked him, "How can you joke about this?"
Joke about what?
The way he responded was so calm and matter-of-fact. I sat up. Me chopping off her head? That's not funny. That's a horrible thing to say. I walked past Roy, shaking my fist. I can't believe he would joke about that. I needed to take a walk. We've been cooped up inside my apartment all weekend. A little fresh air and exercise would do me good, at least in theory. All I could do while walking was read more about Nina's death, the horrific nature of the whole thing. I had never known someone who had been murdered before. It doesn't happen to people like me. Murder always felt like a movie I could watch from afar. The coincidence. How could it not weigh on me? I wasn't even paying attention to the alerts on my phone. I just assumed it was people who knew that I knew Nina, saying how insane this was. I didn't need their reminders. I knew more than anyone how insane it all was. When I finally sat down on the curb of my quiet street, I realized that all these alerts weren't about Nina. They were about my roommate, my Italian roommate. Is this real? That was the name of the clip being sent to me by my other roommate, the non-Italian one. He called, asking if I could believe it, asking if it was real. I said nothing. He asked if I was still there since I hadn't spoken in nearly 5 minutes while he rambled about what he had just seen. I said, "Yeah, I'm here," but then told him I had to go. The non-Italian roommate was at work. We'd been roommates for almost a year and I had no idea what he did for a living. This was the longest conversation we ever had, and it revolved around the sudden, truly terrifying death of our mutual roommate. If that was in fact real. My roommate said it had to be fake. It had to. But he couldn't get in contact with them. This was a prank. This had to be a prank, he said. More messages started coming through to my phone. Followers to my podcast with Roy.
We're on the clock.
That was the text from Roy. How could he be so cold? I was furious. Wait till I showed him the video that I had just seen. Taken from inside of a movie theater. It starts with screaming and people running down the aisles in hysterics. Then the phone goes up towards this guy sitting in the middle of the row. The camera is slow and apprehensive. The man at the center of the phone's attention is not moving. The camera swerves around to stand in front of him, and then you see his chest, what's left of it. The person recording is just standing there in disbelief, cursing under his breath in utter shock. And then a tarantula crawled out of the hole in my ex-roommate's chest. I screamed like a child and tripped backwards onto the sidewalk while my phone slipped out of my hands and smacked onto the cold concrete. The size of that spider. It was bigger than my head. It didn't look real. Anyone who saw that would just assume it was a deep fake, something created by AI to get clicks. The only person who could conceivably believe it was real was me. I wished with every ounce of spirituality I could muster that all this was just some awful dream. But it wasn't. I had to get back to my apartment. I had to show this to Roy.
Fake.
That was Roy's reaction. Fake? I blurted. You don't see the coincidence? My roommate? His chest? The spiders? Roy was staring at his computer screen, editing a new episode. He shook his head, smiling.
Don't you see, Max?
See? See what? I was jumping out of my skin with anxiety. Roy calmly explained his theory.
Creepy Spaghetti is curating content based off the popularity of our podcast. That's all it is. Nina isn't dead. Your roommate isn't dead. It's just like when you watch Sacramento Kings highlights. The next time you go on YouTube, everything on the side is related to basketball or Sacramento. Wait, did you think...
Roy started laughing. He asked me if I thought my stories had killed people. Well, yeah, I yelled. How else would you explain this? Who made the deepfakes? The story of Nina dying was just a coincidence? It was reported by... Roy cut me off.
By who? Let me guess. The Sacramento Bean? Last I checked, that wasn't a real news outlet. And this video of your roommate, how hard would it be for an obsessed fan of our podcast to find out who you live with and then make a video about them based off the fact that you clearly hate them? They make a video based on the plot of your episode, tag you, you share it, all of a sudden, people are following them instead of us. Because of you. God damn it, Max. You just picked up a scam caller trying to steal money and you handed over the ATM card? How stupid can you be?
I punched Roy in the face. He fell to the floor. I stood over him. For a couple seconds, he didn't move or speak. He just stared up at the ceiling. Finally, he said,
Maybe we should take a break.
The world is constantly changing. Now you can track what's likely to happen and trade on the outcome with Kalshi. From politics and economics to breaking financial news, Kalshi markets show real-time possibilities of what will unfold, and you can make money on what you think will happen. The State of the Union is Tuesday. Will new policies be announced? What will the president say? Who shows up? Trade the outcomes live on Kalshi. Available in all 50 states. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FAN to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
Did you know that you can save up to 70% on the best brands just by shopping at FromRevel.com? We're talking strollers, car seats, high chairs, espresso machines, cookware, everything you need for way less. Here's how it works. Every single day, Rebel drops thousands of new products on the site for up to 70% off. It's a constant stream of endless deals from top brands like UPPAbaby, Nuna, Baby Bjorn, Breville, Nespresso, KitchenAid, Le Creuset, and more. But you have to act fast because every deal is one of a kind. So if you see something you love, make sure you add to cart fast. So stop paying full price when you don't have to. Whether it's baby gear, kitchen upgrades, or a treasure for your home you didn't know you needed, Rebel has it for way less, up to 70% less. Shop FromRevel.com and save big.
After Roy left, I didn't know what to do with myself. It was the middle of the night and my non-Italian roommate had not come home. Nor had he answered any of my messages. I was trying to wrap my head around what Roy had said. Could that be what happened? Had someone stolen my stories and used it to gain followers? It all happened so quickly. Too quick. Nobody could churn out fake stories that fast. What kind of scumbag would create content that was so disgusting? You can't just make a story about someone dying and expect to get away with it. They had to know the law would be coming for them sooner or later. Who's monitoring this madness? I clicked on the Nina news story. It had been taken down due to the ongoing investigation. I clicked on the video of my Italian roommate. That had also been taken down due to sensitivity to the deceased. But the views had already exceeded several thousand. No, Million? That can't be right. The chest-bursting spider monster had 2.37 million views? I was texting Nina to please answer me. Her notifications were silenced. I left her a voicemail, a crazed voicemail, imploring her to please call or text me to let me know that she was okay. I did the same thing to my Italian roommate. That call was a little less sensitive. The call to my non-Italian roommate was even less sensitive than the previous call. Where was he? Why wasn't he home? How do you have this conversation with your roommate about your other roommate dying, John Carpenter style, and then all of a sudden you go MIA? Am I the only one who believes in sanity? The sun was coming up. I had been awake all night, pacing in paranoia, hopped up on caffeine, trying to think clearly, looking for stories about Nina or the Italian, neither of which could be found. I had become convinced that it was all fake. I had been scammed. Hook, line, and sinker. Thank God, I thought. Everyone was safe. Nina, the Italian. The thoughts I had last night, it was as if I had entered some other dimension. Now I was back in the real world, with logic. Still, why wasn't anyone calling me back? I laid on the ground, right where I knocked Roy down with a jab to the nose. Just as my eyes started to grow heavy, my phone rang. Hello? I didn't even check to see who it was. Naturally, it wasn't any of the people who I thought might have died yesterday. It was Roy. He sounded very serious, matter of fact, almost monotone. Anytime I tried to interject, he would just keep talking in this robotic manner.
Hello, Max. Based off your behavior recently, I don't think we should continue our creative collaboration. I have felt for some time that I was shouldering the burden of our podcast. And I think it would be better for both of us if we went our separate ways. You're welcome to start your own podcast. I wish you all of the best.
I was floored. That son of a... How could he? The nerve of... I called him back, cursed him out, sent a text filled to the brim with expletives. My skin was boiling with rage. I destroyed my kitchen, smashing anything that had been left in the sink. It was at this precise moment that my Italian roommate and his smoking hot girlfriend walked in to ask, would it be better if you moved out? 3 hours later, I'm at the movie theater where the scene of the non-crime took place last night, staring at a text from Nina that says simply, "Do not contact me or I will call the cops." Finally, Roy responds with a text. He says that he didn't call me this morning. He just woke up after editing all night. Based off what I said to him via voicemail, text, and email, we should stop working together. I turned to the marquee. The movie listed is called Sanitation. It's a low-budget horror movie that I've already seen twice. A third time is in order. It's the only thing that will keep me from destroying my life even further. As I slink into my seat, I get another notification. It's the latest episode from Roy's podcast. It's called Max and Me Overdrive. Son of a... He's ripping off a Stephen King title in a clever way. I checked the synopsis. It's about a struggling horror writer who becomes convinced that someone has turned his life into a horror story.
The world is constantly changing. Now you can track what's likely to happen and trade on the outcome with Kalshi. From politics and economics to breaking financial news, Kalshi markets show real-time possibilities of what will unfold, and you can make money on what you think will happen. The State of the Union is Tuesday. Will new policies be announced? What will the president say? Who shows up? Trade the outcomes live on Kalshi. Available in all 50 states. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FAN to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes, so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews, all on the app. Download today.